Okay, so now publications. What are publications? What is their significance? How do they work? How do you publish one? And again, give me the explain it like I'm five version.
Okay, interesting. So, publication is basically just a piece of written manuscript, which you write after, when you have to present your research to somebody, right? So you do this research inside a lab. You spend countless hours. I don't know. Let's say 12 hours in a day for 6 years, for 6 months or something, right? And you have this very very deeper understanding of the research topic which you are researching on, right? And then what happens is that ultimately you get some breakthrough in your research topic, right? And then the next step is that you have to present this breakthrough to people who are or present it to a broader audience, right? And that is basically what a manuscript or a publication or writing a publication is, right?
Okay.
This is basically just called a manuscript. So you write it up. So you have this technical document, and where you are basically presenting your research, right? And coming back to the second question, what exactly is the significance of this document? So, as I see it, publications are very significant because this is something where researchers have to kind of showcase what exactly have they done, right? And what are their insights into this particular problem. Because you can sit inside your lab for 10 years, and if you do not really tell anybody that what have you been working on, right? Then it's basically in a way, I wouldn't call it useless. Of course, it's still useful, but you have to kind of put it out to a broader audience, just to kind of get this feedback, and just in the hope that you will actually be kind of encouraging more people to work on this particular topic, because this is how research works. You do something, and then you kind of hope that some other geniuses would catch on to your work and make it much better, right? So this is kind of this chain of improvements.
Have you ever watched Mythbusters?
No.
Okay, so Mythbusters was this super popular show on Discovery Channel run by Adam Savage. And the other guy I don't even remember.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's my bad.
Yeah.
But he was equally as important. And Adam Savage, who was the host, he used to say the only difference between doing science and messing around is writing it down. Is that true for what a research paper actually is? Like,
I would say there is some truth to it.
Right? There is some truth to it?
There is some truth to
because every time I hear about a research publication, I basically go back to, Adam Savage said, science and messing around, writing it down. That is what
I would say research and science. This and messing around. They all go hand in hand in a way. Because when you're doing research, you're not doing old stuff because you want to do something new.
Stuff.
And when you have to do something new, you have to mess around with things. You have to play around with this knob, with this knob, with this knob, whatever is kind of working. Let's say, right? So then this is the messing around phase, right?
Yeah.
And then when you have messed it around, right, then you kind of have to put it up, right, and show it to other people.
And so how do you go about publishing it? Do you just publish it on your own website or blog, or do you need someone else to publish it?
Basically, the thing is that I can also publish it on my website or blog or whatever, right? Whichever platform do we have. But ultimately we want other people to kind of see our research, right? And we want a broader audience for that, right? Yeah. And one of the simplest ways is that you write up your manuscript or your research document, right? And then you send it to a conference, right?
Okay.
And you send it to a conference, and then usually the conference is peer reviewed. And by peer reviewed, I basically mean that other people like me or you who are in the field and actively researching in the field, would be kind of looking into your research document and try to kind of come up with strengths and weaknesses. Is it worthy of getting published into this particular conference or not, for example, right?
Interesting.
And then, I mean, this is basically just to kind of have this mechanism where other people are also kind of agreeing on your point of view, right?
Yeah.
Then you have that, and then ultimately the conference publishes it, and the main benefit you get is that you have a broader audience in the end.
Yeah. So are these conferences special type of conferences, or are they just the normal everyday conferences that we just hear about? Like,
what exactly? I mean, can you?
So, I mean, there is a large technology conference going on here in Dubai over the next month, but I don't see any PhDs here. So what I'm trying to ask here is, the conferences that you are talking about, what do they look like? Who organizes them? Where do I find more about those conferences? Are there any internal announcements? Where are those conferences hosted?
Yeah. I mean, every research field has its own particular conferences, right?
Okay.
So it's not like there is this one big conference where signal processing is also published there, where humanities stuff is also published there, where computer science is also published there,
Okay.
where electrical engineering is also published. No, it doesn't really happen like that.
Oh, okay.
So there are these, so for example, I work in computer science,
Yeah.
right? So there would be some specific conferences on my particular topic. So I'm not even going to general computer science conferences, because there is no general computer science conference,
Wow.
right? There would be, for example, computer vision conferences where I'm more interested in. But then there would be probably some other conferences where you kind of I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah.
but maybe you discuss programming languages or try to make them better or something like that, right? But I don't really go into that. But I go into my particular topic, which is computer vision, right?
Yeah.
And that also holds for all other subfields inside of science, for example.
True. And if people support your paper in a conference, does that have like any official demarcation to it? Like, is there like an official recommendation that goes out? What happens in a conference?
Yeah. So as I said, so you send your paper to this to this conference. I mean, coming back to the other question which I missed. So these conferences are kind of organized by independent bodies, right? And some well-known researchers usually kind of get together, and they kind of have this platform in which people put out their research and send your research documents to this particular conference, and then these are peer reviewed. 3 or 4 people, independent people, look at your research document and try to judge it, right? And after judging it, they kind of give you, I shouldn't really say it, stamp of approval, because at the end of the day, I feel 3 or 4 people cannot really judge your research in the best possible way, right? But it still is better than nothing.
Can we call it that these 3 or 4 people give it a sense check?
Sanity check, yes.
Sanity
exactly.
check.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So I would say that they can give it a sanity check.
Yeah.
And then you are invited to a conference. You have to go there. You have to present your paper, for example. And then at a conference, you have this bigger audience, right?
Okay.
So it can happen that some big conferences, for example, have even 10,000 paper submissions, right?
Oh wow!
Only in computer vision, for example, right? And there is this conference this year which had 15,000 paper submissions, right? So
wow.
that's really crazy to think of, right? So after a certain number of papers get in, right, and then some certain specific authors are kind of invited to present their papers. There is no real restriction that who can attend a conference. So even people who do not really have papers can also go there, right? Yeah. But you would mostly see the authors who are going there, right, to present their own work. Then you have your presentation slot or whatever you call it, and then there would be a huge audience from multiple different backgrounds, right? In computer vision, not everybody is working on the same topic as well, right? Yeah. There's like hundreds of different fields, subfields where people are different, looking at different things in a different manner, right? So so you kind of open or these conferences give you a platform to open your research, right?
Yeah.
And then by opening your research, you kind of invite other people, right? And then those other people come to you, talk to you, attend your presentations, try to see if it's valuable, not valuable, or give you feedback, or have some talks.
Very cool.
Which can also get heated at times.
Are there like debates?
Yes, I mean debates, as in there have been some debates as well. There have been some heated arguments between some well-known researchers, which are well documented as well, which I can
Drama.
Yeah, basically, yeah, but mostly these are very constructive feedback loops, which you kind of get, I mean, conference is basically a way to generate feedback loop.
Very
I would say,
cool.
right? So
Very
it's
cool.
like it's a pretty nice experience, I would say. So
Yeah. What are citations?
So
Why are they important?
in academia, these hold a certain value, right?
Yeah.
Citations are basically, so after you have a paper published, right? How do you? I mean, yeah, this is a kind of a difficult question, I feel, because the merit of a paper is not only or should not only be judged by the number of citations it gets, right? But still, it is one metric which can be used to kind of judge the significance of a paper, right? So once I write a paper, I put it to a conference, I present it, then maybe some people find it useful, some people build on top of that, right? And when they build on top of that, they would hopefully cite my work, because they kind of got an inspiration from my work, or they explicitly used something or some idea from my paper, and then build on top of that, right? So they would cite me, and this is also, I would say, a constant feedback loop again, right? So you put out a paper, and then you see that how well is the community accepting your research in general, right? So in some sense, I would say it can give you a picture of how impactful your work is, but I wouldn't really put a hard line that this is the only metric which can give you this feeling of impactfulness.
Are these calculated automatically, or is there a body that actually counts the citations? Or
I mean, there are. I mean, these are automated systems. For example, Google Scholar, right? So
that is what I'm pointing to.
Yeah, exactly. So Google Scholar can just. I mean, it indexes all your papers on your own profile.
Yeah.
So every academic can build his own profile, and then so the papers are automatically indexed. So whenever a conference is kind of putting its proceedings online, so Google Scholar will automatically index it, right, onto your page. And then whenever somebody is citing you, it's a very good system, right? It's a very huge, complex system, in my opinion.
Very, 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 very cool. I had another question on citations, but okay. Major publications. What is a major publication? How do we know if something is a major publication or not?
Yeah, again, this is. I mean, we are again going into these subjective debates, right? People have different views of what is a major publication, what is a minor publication, what is this, what is that, right? Long and short, I can give you one example, or the only answer which I have to that is basically that conferences have a ranking.
Okay.
Right? So some conferences are A*. You can go to I forgot the name of this website, which basically ranks or can give you rankings of different conference venues. So basically you can go to this website, type a name, and it would tell you that is it an A* conference, is it an A conference, is it a B conference, is it a C conference, or
wow, I didn't know that.
So these are so these are kind of different grades which are being put. I would not comment that are these grades highlighting the impact of this conference or not. That is again a very subjective debate. All these ranking systems are kind of, that's, I'm not here to really comment on anything, right? But in my particular field, what do we call a major publication is basically a paper or a publication which is being published at one of those A-star venues, right?
Okay.
So that would be like, you have a paper at an A-star venue, then you kind of call it a major publication. I don't really like the name of major and minor publications simply because research doesn't work like that. Nothing is major, nothing is minor. Everything is important, I feel.
So I actually remembered my question on citations. When I look at a paper and I look at a citation, and I'll give you an analogy. So when I look at a car and I see that it has 300 horsepower, and I know that majority of the cars in the market, the good sports car, are roughly about the 700 mark. The top end models are 2000, 1500 horsepower. The lower end cars are 100 horsepower. When I look at citations, when I look at research papers, how should I calibrate my mind? What amounts to a good average number of citations for a good impact? Is that 200, 1000, 5000? And then like give me that benchmark. If a particular paper has more citations than that, then I can tell myself at least that probably this research paper is a very impactful research paper. Or no, the other way.
There is really no answer to that, I feel.
Okay.
The thing is that sometimes in my particular field, some papers can really blow up. For example, in the age which we are living in, which is this, fancy X or Twitter or whatever it's called now. It's called X, right?
Yeah.
So, there is a huge community of computer scientists there who are working on computer vision. So, there are some people who have a huge following there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody is liking one of the papers from this one particular venue, right? Or this one published paper. He puts it up, right? This paper blows up. This paper invites traction or has a lot of traction in the research community.
Yeah.
People really know about this and then start to cite it, right? And then there could be an equally good paper, which it can happen that many people missed, right?
Yeah.
And maybe these big accounts who have a huge following missed it, right? They could not really post it or whatever happened, right? And maybe there are some researches which just go under the radar, but are really, really super nice researches, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I say that the citation count is one metric, which is not the perfect metric, but of course it has some value in some sense, right? So when you are doing research and you want to find impactful research, there is no real other way than to kind of dig deeper into.
Let me push back a little bit on that. And this is a friendly challenge. So who is better? There is a professor or a researcher who has worked hard to develop an audience, and for the sake of making my point or making my argument, that researcher ended up writing a mediocre paper, but because of the work that he has done to develop an audience, he's able to market that research to a huge number of people, and maybe 100,000 people are actually able to read that research, compared to another professor who might be a superstar at his work, but that researcher may not be a good person. People may not like him, and nobody ends up reading his research paper in this hypothetical scenario. And the research paper might be the next Einstein's theory of relativity, whatever. In your opinion, does that element of publicity matter for a researcher, or it shouldn't matter?
It does.
Yeah.
It does matter, I feel, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
as I said, people have given different names to different papers. Some are minor, some are major. I don't really. I don't really want to categorize research in that particular way, right? So
I get your point.
Yeah.